Welcome to episode 20 of Riff and Chips. I'm your host, Phil Vernon, and today our guests are three of my fellow bandmates in Copse. As this was the last in the series, I thought I'd get the lads on to talk about their favourite chippies as well as all the usual musical roots and band chat. Join us as we discuss our pre-Copse musical endeavours, forgotten venues of the South West and South Wales, and what's coming up next for the band. Ed, Bobby, Rye, welcome to Riff and Chips.
Oh yeah.
Hello.
Thanks for having us.
Last episode of the series, thought I'd get you lads on. I think we've got some stuff to push, so why not give ourselves some time in the spotlight, hey?
Yeah, big time.
Before we start, I just want to say, because all three of you have contributed to the putting together of this pod. So Rye does all my artwork and covers. So thanks to you for that, Rye.
You're welcome.
Bobby provided the dive bomb in the intro music.
About 2 seconds of wheel.
What was that, sorry? 2 seconds of...
Wheel.
Best 2 seconds of his career.
Yeah.
He gets the guitar for 2 seconds.
Yeah. He actually got to play guitar, yeah. And Ed provides all the screams for the plug it and, well, all the jingles, really. So thank you as well to Edward.
No worries.
Good family effort. As normal, we always start episodes with finding out how our guests got into heavy music. So we'll start with you, Ed. How did you initially get into heavy music?
I would have been about 13 or so when I started getting into heavy music. So I started learning guitar when I was about 11. And you sort of naturally move into bands like sort of Green Day and stuff, and then move on to Foo Fighters, and then new metal comes along and you're listening to like, I don't know, Korn, Slipknot,
Taproot,
Deftones, who obviously aren't really a new metal band, but
Spineshank,
made of course.
That again.
I mean, yes, of course. But then you start hearing other bands like Glassjaw and the Hoax Conspiracy and stuff, and then, your whole world is blown wide open.
And what about growing up? Because obviously you grew up like in the Cotswolds, so How did shows look for you? Where did you go to for like early shows?
So there was nothing to go to like particularly near me. You had to go to, because I grew up near Stroud, I went to school in Cirencester, and there wasn't a lot of gigs other than like school gig type things, just school bands and whatever. So the closest we had was a place called the Guildhall in Gloucester that was quite a big sort of hall, and just seemed to be loads of metal gigs there. So the first ever gig I went to must have been, again, 13, 14, was Stamping Ground, Underrule, and Medulla Notte.
Well, good. Three classics.
It's pretty fucking heavy, that, isn't it?
Yeah, really heavy, yeah.
You came across in Newport, didn't you? Did you go to Newport Centre?
Yeah, I used to go to Newport, but that would have been later on. I think that was probably when I was about 16.
Was it mostly UK like bands that came through the Guildhall, or would you get like international touring bands as well?
Yeah, no, that was 100% really just UK bands. I don't remember seeing sort of any American bands there. So yeah, like you said, we were travelling to Bristol and Newport and Cardiff for our big gigs. I remember going to see Slipknot at the Cardiff Arena, I think it was, with American Head Charge, and it would have been 1 Minute Silence and In Flames.
Yeah, that was cool, that show.
Yeah, but then also we were doing stuff like, I remember going to see the Dillinger Escape Plan at Beer Keller in Bristol. That was their first tour with Greg, I think, and that was also with Sixth. First time I saw Sixth, I think.
Yeah.
But this was so long ago. This must have been 2001, 2002?
Yeah, it sounds about that. Because didn't they, when they did the tour over here with System, was that still with Greg? Not with Greg.
That was later, in fact. That was definitely later.
That was later. It was later than that, was it?
Yeah.
All right, okay, yeah. I was going to say, because did they ever come over here with Dimitri?
I think they did, but I'd never saw it.
Never seen them. Maybe when they did that tour with Botch like years ago, or whatever. And
Yeah.
The Old Angel or something fucking stupid.
I'm second guessing myself as to whether that System tour was before or after that Sixth tour.
That would have been like 2001, 2002, I think. It was before they brought out Miss Machine. I know that.
Yeah. All of this was pre-Miss Machine. This is all just doing like Under the Running Board and Calculating and stuff like that.
Yeah.
2002, that was.
Yeah.
The System tour.
Yeah, okay.
There was one of those like 3-piece super extreme bands that were around at the time. I can't think who it was. Nazem? Do you remember a band called Nazem?
Oh, yeah. Their singer got killed in the tsunami, didn't he?
Yeah.
That's a cool as fuck lineup, isn't it?
Yeah, no, it was really good.
What about you, Bobby? How did you get into heavy music?
Well, just had Ride the Lightning pumped into my head from a very early age, basically. So yeah, just pure thrash as a child.
Whose fault was that?
That would be my brother's fault.
Yeah.
I could thank him for that. So yeah, just basically loads of Metallica, loads of Megadeth, Anthrax, Slayer, all the rest of it. And then obviously Limp Bizkit comes out. Just listening to that. I think the first CD I ever bought was Korn self-titled from Woolworths in Wales. Yeah, the standard really. End up getting into a band when you're at school and you just play knockoff Metallica riffs and it goes from there really.
Stuff we just do now.
Yeah, pretty much, yeah.
Nothing's changed.
And what about your like early gigs and stuff? Because you kind of grew up in and around the Yeovil scene, right?
Yeah, so basically, I think early ones were those big all-dayers. They'd have the ski lodge, and like Ed would have been on these as well.
Yeah, Collision Course.
Yeah.
Right,
It would be like Sixth, Cry for Silence, Malify. Like every couple of weeks, there'll be something decent going through. Like I remember, like I said, Dillinger, we watched in the Orange Box, Dillinger Escape Plan with Between the Buried and Me, and it was just absolute carnage. Like you couldn't hear a thing because it was just nuts. He's trying to run over people's heads, but the space between people's heads and the ceiling was only about a foot anyway. It was nuts. But yeah, it was class. So and what another one was like, I think it was on my 16th birthday actually. I think it was Shaped by Fate, Bury Your Dead, Parkway Drive, and Suicide Silence.
Yeah,
Class.
just one of those sort of like package
Absolutely
stores. Yeah, the kind of mid to late 2000s were absolutely mental for those.
Can I read out the Collision Course lineups because there's
Please
some
do.
absolute chaos in here. So the first day was a bit more of a sort of slightly indie, whatever BSM type of day.
Yeah,
So opening, Frank Turner.
it's mental, isn't it?
Wonder where
Second
he is
Smile,
now.
Dopamine, Get Cake, Where Cake Fly, Maple State, Johnny Panic, for some
Yeah.
reason, Adequate 7, My Awesome Compilation, and Ruben. Then on day 2, it was Shaped by Fate, Dignity Dies First, Her Words Kill, Us, Architects, Bring Me the Horizon, Above Horizon, Hondo McLean, Johnny Truant, and Sixth.
That's a hell of a day. It's
Yeah.
like the Ghost Fest days, isn't it? Like the Ghost Fests around that time, they were all really similar lineups. Like it
Yeah.
was like you guys, as in obviously Devil, Horizon, Architects, and then you'd have all the 30 Days a Night bands like Everett, Eternal Lord, Azrael, the halcyon days.
Yeah, it's just, all basically that same lineup, but it's up north, wasn't it?
Another one I remember
pretty much,
seeing. Remember seeing Bring Me the Horizon play at Palace in Bridgewater, and that was like when I was at college. You'd go to Palace on a Wednesday night because that would be the student club night, and it would just be like minging,
Fucking horrible.
just horrible nightclub.
That's Dignity Dies First. That's got to be around 2004.
I think Collision Course, I would say 06,
06.
07? 06 was it? Yeah. Yeah, nearly 20 years ago. That's mental.
It's terrifying.
The fact that you were in a band playing it that you're still in now as well.
Yeah. It's 20 years this year that we've been a band.
That's
You
insane.
look so young, mate.
Kind-ish.
Yeah. Talking about age not being kind. Rye, how did you first get into heavy music?
Such a prick. My dad, mainly for me. I grew up listening to like Deep Purple, Extreme, Led Zeppelin, Queen, and then from there, probably my brother. So we had a tiny little terrace house up in Blenavon. My dad built a partition wall between, so it's one of those thin kind of plasterboard walls, and you could hear anything he was listening to.
Oh, he did not build those rooms in your favour at all. I didn't realise that wall was put up.
Yeah, yeah. My brother had the slightly bigger room. I suffered with the smaller room. But yeah, you could hear everything through those walls. And I remember the one day just hearing like a machine gun sound coming through the wall. And I was probably about 11 at this point. And I remember going into his room and just saying, whatever that is, can I listen to that after? He's like, yeah, no worries. So like an hour later, he'd come in and bring the CD in, and it was Davidian, that intro to Davidian Machine Head, which still is probably one of my favorite intro tracks to an album now.
So good.
Great riff.
It's such a fucking hard track.
It's ridiculous.
So good.
And the relentless double kick all the way through as well.
And the best kind of breakdown at the end.
Yeah.
The odd time
It's still unrivaled. that.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. And from there, Reese kind of got me into Spine Shank, Static X, Taproot, a bunch of new metal bands, and then kind of Caius, Queen of the Stone Age, Fu Manchu. Yeah, just kind of developed from there, really. But there was a music shop in Newport, and anyone from Wales would probably know this shop, Hitman. And the amount of like American import CDs you could get there, like you could take 20 quid down and leave with 6 amazing albums. It was super cheap as well. And that's where I kind of found like bands like Saves a Day, Glassjaw, Killswitch, Cold Chamber, El Nino, Dredge. Definitely got Dredge CD from there. So from there, really.
Judgment.
And again, so Newport was obviously your main kind of town for hitting up shows. So
DJs.
yeah, TJ. I was going to say, so obviously a lot of venues that aren't used anymore, like classic venues. So like, yeah, talk about some of the shows that you saw like at TJ's and then at like Newport Centre back in the day.
Newport Centre, I think the first band I watched there was Machine Head. Machine Head, El Nino and Sugar Coma,
Yeah, I was at that.
I think. That was the one you were at.
Yeah.
Weird that we're in the same room. and
There's
didn't know
loads of
each
gigs
other.
where we've been in the same room but didn't know each other.
Would that have been,
Yeah.
what tour would that have been then? Bulldozer? That sort of tour?
Yeah,
Or-
It was that tour
Yeah,
for
something
sure.
like that.
Yeah.
Well, that's the song, isn't it, Bulldozer? What's it called? It's Supercharger.
Supercharger, that's it. Yeah.
Yeah.
I
sorry,
put that on the other day because I was like, I'm intrigued as to whether this is as bad as I remember it being. Bulldozer's got some good riffs in it, but the album's fucking appalling.
We'll leave it there. Yeah, it's a weird
It's
one,
the
isn't it?
weakest album.
Because when you go back to Burning Red, like I can see, like I still do kind of like quite a lot of the stuff
Oh,
on that. There's loads of
right,
cool stuff.
Burning
on
Red.
that.
It's new metal as fuck, but like Blood, Sweat, and Tears is such a cool song.
Yeah,
Da-da-down, da-da-down, da-da-down,
Yeah, and even
da-da-down.
from this day is cool.
It's
Like,
all about that. The verse is quite questionable in
The
From This Day.
beers.
yeah, the Beers. Yeah, it's
That was his thing, wasn't it?
yeah, he loved giving it that. Yeah. Anybody else there?
I've seen Extreme at the Centre. I saw
Mint.
Judas Priest, Whitesnake, like a lot of classic bands from there. That's gone now. It's been knocked down.
So was it kind of like a small arena?
Oh, Sports Hall.
It's
Sports
like,
Hall.
oh, like a big
Sports Hall, yeah.
sports hall. Right.
Yeah,
okay.
basketball
So
courts,
was the
squash
sound
courts.
dreadful in there then, or?
No, sound was dead good.
Yeah, it was
They're
weird.
good.
It was like, imagine like a basketball court,
Yeah.
but the stage was like the width of the room. So it's really weird. Like it
Oh,
wasn't
so-
like
so
you
it
weren't
was
at the end
wider
of
than
it.
it
It
was-
was
Yeah.
really wide and like not that a really deep venue, wasn't it?
Ah, right. Okay.
Which is, to know, was really cool. So the stage looked massive on it, but you were never
Yeah.
like miles back.
They had those, the pull-out kind of tiered seats.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like
as
American
well.
style.
They had those,
Yeah.
so they kind of
Yeah.
cut that room in half again as well. So yeah, it's dead good.
Ah, right. Okay. Nice.
Yeah, it was like a
And-
big like a arena style tour or like gig or whatever, but in a much smaller room. It was cool.
They had like a swimming pool and stuff there as well.
Yeah.
So like whenever you
It's really
queued
weird.
outside, you kind of queued past the kind of swimming pool, past the
Yeah,
windows.
yeah. And
Yeah.
see
At
people
that
swimming.
gig, you could see like Machine Head and El Nino just kind of going down the slide in the swimming pool.
That's
Fucking
what
great.
was good about the ski lodge. You just had like all these bands would come through, and then you just see them going down like
Down the
to-
rubber rings at the back.
Yeah,
Yeah.
Just loving life.
Westlands as well. That was like Westlands in Yeovil, which was like the bigger venue. You'd go there for a gig, because it's a leisure centre. There'd just be all these kids coming out from Taekwondo, then all these like queuing up.
Having
I
their
always forget they
Lucas
used
Ada
to put on.
knickknacks.
You don't get that so much anymore because obviously Swindon, they used to put on gigs at the Oasis, didn't they? Which is just like the big, like
Yeah. I don't remember
big
going to a
sports
gig
hall
for
and
that.
stuff. But I know
Definitely swimming there though.
you don't seem to see it as much now. I guess there's more and more purpose-built venues now, but
Yeah, I suppose you've got to know that it's going to be pretty busy because those rooms, they're never going to be a small room in a. Although that said, speaking about gigs in leisure centres, I once did a show with Bring the Horizon in a leisure centre in Bodmin, but it wasn't in any of the sports halls. It was just in like the reception area.
amazing. I thought you were going to say the squash court or something.
No. It was like between some like vending machines. It's the weirdest gig I've ever done.
What was the venue? Was it Worcester or somewhere? It had like a old swimming pool, and that was the venue. So, like
know.
literally in the swimming pool. 'Cause we played there with. I mean, this is going back to like 2003, 2004. We played there with Stamping Ground.
All right, I don't think I've ever been.
It's weird. It's only like a small kind of underground indoor pool. Must be like an old spa or something like that. But yeah, the pool was where the crowd stood, and then they had a stage off to the side of it.
It's fucking weird.
Years ago, we recorded in the studio in London, and that was like that. The actual live room was in an empty pool, basically, and then you had steps going up to the side, which was where the control room was.
I can't imagine that sounded great.
Sounded pretty good.
Okay.
Imagine the snare
The
sound
old-
you could get from it. Proper 80s White Snake snare.
That's where they recorded St. Anger.
Yeah.
In a bin.
And obviously we touched on TJ's there, legendary venue, fucking everybody came through that gaff. So just go through some of the bands you saw there.
I actually made a list before we come on this.
I mean, I
typing
tried to
out
corroborate which ones I've been to for that.
Parkway Drive,
That wasn't there.
Brand New, Poison the
No,
Well,
wasn't there.
Gojira, Boy Sets Fire, Darkest Hour, It Dies Today, Decapitated, Evergreen Terrace, Wars of Jericho, Rise Against, Alex on Fire. Like it just goes on. Like I was there 3 times a week probably when gig tickets for like £5.
You would have been at the Thursday Coheed Furthest Things Forever show.
Yeah, that was it.
And you'd have been at the Converge
I was at
Zenmore
Converge,
Paramedics show. Who else have I seen there? Too many. I mean, definitely bands that we're not good to. In fact, your band played with Eda Main and the bad band.
The guys that don't know where they are, Religion,
Yes, yeah.
Welsh band.
Oh, to be
Yeah.
yeah, Welsh
I
band,
don't
yeah.
about those anymore.
It's a shame because most of them are fine.
Well, we played with Biffy Clyro there as well to about 40 people. It was us, Biffy Clyro, and this girl.
Nice.
Yeah, but 40
They were a
people in there. I
classic,
still-
like UK staple. This girl, they were
Yeah.
on every tour.
Yeah, there was that couple of
Let them
years
know.
where they were just on everything. Yeah.
Saw them at the Guildhall with what were they called? You can cut that out. That's fine.
Or leave it in now.
Tribute to nothing. Tribute to nothing. I saw them with Tribute to Nothing. Do you remember them?
My God, I forgot about those. Yeah.
Yeah. I didn't say they were good. Just ask if you remembered them.
When was it TJ's shot?
2011, 2012.
And never really been fully replaced, I guess. Although they've just opened that new venue in Newport, right? Which is quite a
Yes.
decent size.
Yeah. So, I mean, the scene in Newport was incredible back then. Like you said, every band passed through TJ's. And then I saw bands like Pope Con and Terror in Le Pub as well.
I was there
It
as
was
well.
fantastic. I think the owners were selling, so the lease went, so they had to move out. So they've got a new venue now opposite the train station. And yeah, Sam from the pub, shout out to Sam because she is the heart and soul of Newport now, and always has been. But she started the Corn Exchange with a couple of other people I know as well. So they got a new 500 capacity venue in Newport again now, which is perfect because Newport Centre has just closed and been knocked down.
I've not seen loads of shows advertised there, but there was a Sick of It All show, wasn't there, a couple of months back?
Yeah, they
Which I
only
think
opened
sold
in
out, right?
March. Yeah, sold out. I think most of the shows there at the moment are sold out.
That's cool. It's nice that people are hungry for it.
Yeah.
Because you don't really see shows in Newport in the way that you used to. I suppose
There's obviously still a need for it, though, isn't there?
Yeah, the scene used to be amazing in Newport, and it did die
Yeah, it
off.
used to be
I think
amazing.
it was due to TJ's going. That building's been derelict for years now.
But I mean, if you think about like around that sort of period, you had very like just everything that came out of Newport was like there's something magic going on. There's so many bands coming through, like even if they were from sort of around and about, like it just seemed like Newport was the hub for like all of these bands. Like
Yeah,
It was
all
great.
those Valleys bands, yeah, I guess Hondo Funeral, like the bands that we've already mentioned, sort of thing.
yeah,
Obviously.
or even bands like Kids in Glass Houses and stuff. Just loads
Yeah,
and
yeah.
loads of bands, really.
Yeah, it's class. But yeah, it kind of died off, but I think that was due to a lot of the venues closing and promoters moving on and things as well. But it is getting back to where it used to be,
Nice.
especially with the Corn Exchange.
Like I said, we've talked about it on previous pods a lot, where smaller towns have like peaks and troughs with scenes. Cities, you've always got it. It's always there. There's always enough promoters and enough interest to do it. But smaller towns like Yeovil, Newport, I guess Gloucester to a point back in your day, there's
Trowbridge
You have-
was the classic for that.
Trowbridge, another
Yeah.
one. Like you'll have a promoter that picks it up and does a few years and tries to get loads of bands in and does a really good job and builds a scene. But it's that one person literally holding it all up. And once they've eventually lost enough money or they just haven't got the time to do it anymore, just as soon as they stop, just overnight the scene dies.
Yeah, because
Um,
Sam was doing Trowbridge, and he sort of packed it in for his day job, and that's when Trowbridge kind of called it a day. Then you had Will down in Yeovil, who got really successful and went national or international potentially. And
Yeah, I think it was like, after he left, there was like a few other people who kind of took it on themselves to put on shows a bit, but yeah, it just sort of fizzled out. And I think there was a couple venue changes and
but people get lethargic to it as well, because especially in Yeovil and Trowbridge, because they were doing such a good job, they were putting on gigs like probably every other week, if not more.
Yeah.
And it's like everyone in the town. The reason why these towns were good is because like literally everyone was like, "Oh, it's Friday night. We're going to the gig." They didn't necessarily know who the bands were. Sometimes that's why Collision Course was really good. Like none of us were like super popular at the time, but it was like because Yeovil,
It was something to do. You buy a ticket because there's something to do.
Absolutely, everyone in Yeovil turned up to it, and that's why like going down there was like so cool. But in doing that, eventually it collapses in on itself because there's so much going on. Everyone goes, "Oh, well, I can go to the one in 2 weeks because
you can almost
can't be bothered,
overdo it.
or I've got no money, or I've got other plans, or whatever." So it's like the whole scene kind of like just collapses in on itself. Really, I think with that sort of stuff.
It is
It's a
mad.
really weird
You look
balance.
back, I remember like finding a load of my old tickets from like years ago, and it's like you look at those lineups and they were ridiculous, and you look at it's like £6.
Yeah, if that.
Yeah.
Just it's weird when you go back and find tickets. Like I found one relatively recently, and I think it was one of those road rage tours. It was like Kill Switch. I think it was 36 Crazy Fists and 5.0, one of those like road rage tours, and it was £7.50.
Yeah,
and that would have been. I think that was probably 2002. I think maybe.
You said about 5.0 then as well. Just reminded me, Newport Centre seeing Pantera and seeing Powerman 5000 support.
Oh, wow.
Right, I
Jeez.
hadn't heard Powerman 5000 until that point as well.
That makes no
it was
sense.
weird. But seeing them come out with, goggles on their head and like vibrant colours everywhere and neon lights and stuff, it was wild. But I went out and bought the album after that as well, and there's 2 really good songs
It
on
does prove that like sometimes it just doesn't matter what sort of band you are, just existing in the right space means that someone's going to listen.
Yeah.
Because there's no, like these days, there's no way you'd get away with that band supporting Pantera. They'd get murdered.
Before we get on to Copse stuff, obviously we've all been in other bands in the past, so we can have a little quick overview of stuff that we've done. So let's start with you first, Bobby. Why don't you tell us about your previous musical endeavours?
Was in a school band, just ripping off Metallica riffs, and then got to college, ended up playing with this, Yeovil-based deathcore band, and that was good fun. Played across the country a little bit, and then
What was the name of that band?
The Finest Bloodlust.
And is that stuff, is it on Spotify? Can people check it out still?
I don't know. Must have been. After that, I ended up joining a serious pop band, and that was completely other end of the spectrum.
Serious as in professional, or serious as in like their music was dead serious?
Dead serious.
The music wasn't serious, but yeah, it was dead professional.
Were they fun to be around, or were they dead serious?
It was fun. It was fun. But yeah, that just sort of fizzled out because it was probably too serious.
Yeah.
And then, just didn't really do much for a while. Pissed about with like a pub band and stuff. And didn't really do anything. And then I got the call from Craig, and now I'm here.
We'll come back to Craig and Copse and stuff in a bit. Rye, do you want to tell us about some of your past bands? Because you've had a few.
Yeah, we'll go through all of them. There's quite a few.
Let's stick to the ones that you've done a bit more with, I guess.
I said I joined my first band when I was 11. But When Reason Sleeps was probably the biggest one. Did some nice tours with that band we can't mention anymore as well.
That was Sean singing, wasn't it?
Yeah, Sean from the Blackout singing. And then Anthony from Jump the Underground on guitar. I think everyone else kind of moved on to other things now. But we played, I wanted to talk about this because it's going to lead me on to another question. We played Camden Underworld with a band called September, which I think was the singer from Vex Red.
Right, okay.
Ross Robinson was recording the EP at the time. So he was there, and where the steps kind of go up at the back of the Underworld.
Yeah.
He was stood there while we were playing as well. And obviously every band I liked at that point was recorded by Ross Robinson. And I remember my double kick pedal just kind of fell apart doing the double kick part of that song as well.
That's it.
So yeah, as soon as that song finished, you can kind of see me duck down, sort my pedal out, go back up, start the next song. About 10 seconds in, I put the bass drum through, got through that song as much as we could. And then after that song finished, kind of ducked down, kind of put some duct tape over, covered it up as much as I could and stuff. And out of all the gigs that we could have done that bad at, it was that one with Ross Robinson watching. I know that was a question I was going to ask you guys, is what is your worst live experience you've ever had? Because for me, it was that one.
Oh my God, there's way too many to boil that down to one particular moment.
Worst live experience yet, you mean?
Yet.
Yeah.
To be fair, because there will be more.
Yeah. I'm trying to think of
There will
any
be.
particular horror shows. Apart from me playing the start of one of our old band songs wrong every time we played it.
And it's the bit that you wrote as well.
Oh, yeah, of course it is.
I think I remember particularly you did something quite silly recently. Girl.
Oh, yeah, that's what, right. Yeah, that's what you were hinting towards. Yeah, I've wiped that from my mind. So, yeah, so in February, Copse did a lovely little co-headline run with Hidden Mothers, which went very well. Unfortunately, Ed couldn't make it because he was a poorly boy.
Yeah.
But Dave from 100-Year-Old Man stepped in for 3 of the 4 shows and did a wicked job. So thanks for Dave.
Yeah, legend.
Yeah, fucking legend. But yeah, in the Brighton show, which was the show that you couldn't do, first show of the tour, we just played it instrumental anyway. And we all played quite well, and we did quite well. There was a bit of nerves because it's like, oh, it's weird doing a show without a vocalist and first night of tour. And we started off well, and then halfway through, I think it was the last song, we started playing, and Rob was like looking at me, and he was giving me the look that he always gives me when you're playing a note wrong. Like,
is it like a look on his face, like he smelt something really bad?
Yeah, kind of. But he's like looking at me and then looking over, and he's waiting to catch my eye.
I sat turning around to Ryan, and I'm thinking, am I crazy? And I look at Ryan, and Ryan's eyes are like dead open, looking straight at me. I'm like, no, it's Phil.
And my eyes are never dead open.
Yeah, right. Yeah, they're anything but open. So Bobby's looking at me, and I'm looking down because there has been an occasion where I've been a fret out and it's been a semitone out and it sounds horrible, and I've looked and I've gone, oh yeah, fair play, I'm in the wrong place. But Bobby was looking at me, and I was looking down, and I'm in the right place. I know I'm playing in the right place.
The look you gave me, you were so smug. Like,
it's like, no, you're wrong.
I've got this. Yeah. I've got this.
But then I was playing, after you said it, I was like, he's right. Something doesn't seem right. So I was really concentrating to make sure I was playing in the right place. I was like, I'm playing in the right place. Maybe I'm just hearing it weird. Like maybe it's the room. So I don't know what it is. And then Johnny Renshaw from Devil, he kind of came out and tour with us for the first couple of shows. And he came up to me at the end of the set. He's like, do you want the good news or the bad news? I was like, oh, good news first. He's like, good news is, like, you played super tight. You played really, really well. I was like, what was the bad news? It's like, one of your strings was a semitone out for the entire last song.
Did you tune it to G rather than G sharp?
I tuned it to G instead of G sharp, yeah. So obviously looking at my tuner, I saw G coming up and wasn't looking for the sharp, and played the whole set. But because obviously it was only when I went to that string, so it's the second highest string, so I only go on it for like lead bits. So it sounded fine for like say 3/4 of the song, but the most piercing trebby high lead bits on that string, all of a sudden jumped out like.
Well, that semitone is the worst as well.
I know, yeah. Like if you're gonna like tune a string in the wrong tune, like tune it like a fifth or something, like so it at least sounds good. Not a fucking semitone, but yeah, I guess that's mine.
I definitely had a one that we always talk about in Devil was a gig in Liverpool, which we played in a couple of times, and it was always just a fucking mess for whatever reason. Liverpool for us, I think we'd already started like the set really badly in that Lex decided he was gonna count in with some real pizzazz, and no one really understood where the first count was. I can't remember what it was. He did some fancy like which he sometimes does actually, but he did something happened where basically none of us knew how the first song was starting, so everyone was just like at the start. I think Johnny had forgotten to press his channel switch, so he was in clean. This is as someone folds, by the way, so it's like a down out. It's like, I started at some random point and it was just an absolute mess, and then he goes to the clean bit like about, I don't know, like less than a minute later, and there were these 3 drunk middle-aged guys who clearly didn't know the band, didn't give a shit. They were just there because they happened to be on a night out, probably walked past the Liverpool Butterfly and went, that's cheap, let's go in here. And they were shouting Chegwin at us. They were going, Chegwin, 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 Chegwin. A fucking hell, it's like...
And that's how you met me, Ryan and Bobby.
You got Chegwin.
Obviously, we were talking about old bands at the time. Obviously, they're an old band, but also a current band. So obviously Devil, like you said, been going kind of 20 years now.
20 years, yeah.
Pretty successful 20 years, really. You know, you've had a few little gaps of being quiet here and there.
Yeah.
But you've just played a nice run of shows with The Bled.
Yeah, that was awesome. So it was just a bunch of 40-year-olds hanging out for a week. It was lovely.
Yeah. Just everyone's really happy just to finish and get to bed.
Yeah, it was just nice to be out and about for a week.
Yeah. Because you
sending-
played their previous last ever tour, didn't you, as well? So
went
it's
to
cool.
that.
You kind of previously
Yeah.
know those guys.
Bobby
yeah.
was there. It's totally weird. Yeah, it was like we played their last ever UK show. I think it was. We didn't do
Yeah.
like the run.
All right, okay.
But it was like a gig at Dingwalls, I think it was in Camden. So it was right on the river, and it was like loads of bands. I think the Elijah played it as well. Like the lineup, I remember the lineup being good.
I mean, I'm not sure if you can say what it is yet, but you've obviously been in the studio doing something fun recently.
Yeah, we've just been putting together a nice little 20-year bit of fun, really.
Okay, cool. Nice.
Yeah, I don't know if I can read. I mean, it's read
you don't
between
have
the
to,
lines.
it's fine.
It's quite. It's not groundbreaking.
Yeah. But that's something fun. So that's going to come out sometime before the end of the year, I assume, yeah?
Yeah, fairly imminently. I think we're looking to do some other. We're looking to sort of coordinate it with like a couple of shows. So yeah, we'll be dumping a little bit of music and shows soonish, I think.
Nice. And writing again for a fifth record?
Yeah. So we got a lot of material. It's just a case of we all need to get back on it properly. But I think we were kind of talking about what we wanted to do with the record and where we need it to be. I mean, it'd be really easy for us to kind of write like a Lost Part 2 type affair.
Yeah.
I think we just need to work out what it is we want to do, whether we want to step in a different direction or whatever, and just like get everything in a row and then go at it. But yeah, we have started writing some new stuff, so there'll be a record on the horizon at some point.
Awesome. Nice. So another band that has a common thread between three of us. So myself, Rye and Ed, we're in a band called All We Have. There was kind of two iterations of All We Have. One of them was based in Manchester. I'm the kind of common person that was in both versions. So the first iteration had Alex and Nate, who have since been in Going Off. He's quite straight up melodic hardcore. Super fun. Ended up splitting up after a few tours and a bunch of shows. Basically, I moved down to Bristol, kind of got it going again. So you came in before Ed, didn't you, Rye? So we basically had a loud change. We'd written a record. We needed a drummer. Basically, we ended up getting Rye in through Tom, who was our other guitarist, who's Johnny, who we record with him from Devil's Brother. He knew of you through kind of
Me
going out on tour with Devil, like through Ed.
yeah.
So it was a whole weird thing. So he's like, hang on, I know this guy. So it was about a week's notice for a little short Euro run, wasn't it?
Week's notice, and we practiced for one day before the tour.
Yeah. So by this point, it was a bit of a kind of bastardization between the two lineups. So I was still on guitar. Nate, who was the original guitarist, who's now in Going Off, had switched to vocals briefly. And we went out and did this. So it was like I say, it was two shows. So we got hammered in Amsterdam just on a night before. And then we played a show in like a cool squat venue called Gangvertil, I think it was called, in Hamburg. And it was a fucking sick show, like really cool venue, really cool kind of squat community, really looked after us. There was a mint dog. But there's two interesting stories about that show that are quite funny. So firstly, we played with this, well, I say played. There was a couple of guys from Portugal that were obviously traveling around that had been staying in the squat for a few weeks, who were, you can't really see, but I'm doing quotation marks, musicians. And they basically asked if they could play at the end of the show. And we were like, yeah, we didn't give a shit if you want to play. And it was a kind of case of first red flag, oh, we don't have any instruments. Can we use your instruments? Not just like backline or anything. Can we use everything? And we were like, what harm could it do? You know, whatever. It's not really, it's a bit against the ethics of a squat show to be like a dick about it. So we let them do it. And then they started playing and I handed my guitar to the guy and I was like, oh, you know, we're tuned to whatever. Like, do you need it in a particular tuning or whatever? And second red flag, oh, we don't believe in tunings. We create tablets of sound. So I was like, right, okay. So there was two of them. So I think they just took mine and Tom's guitars and that was it. And we were like, oh, these are the pedals we've got and this is what they do. And they were like, oh, it doesn't matter. Basically, they were just playing random things on guitar, standing on pedals. It was a absolute fucking din. We popped out just to get a bit of fresh air and a beer. And then all of a sudden someone came out. I think, was it Nate maybe? Came running out.
It was Nate came out,
and was like, Rye, they've just got a random guy out of the crowd to play on your drums.
I don't even think it was a random guy. I think it was the guitarist. Because when I came in, he was just stood there playing guitar, kicking the shit out of my bass.
Yeah, because you'd taken your kick pedal off. So he went round the back of it and was just booting your kick drum, wasn't it? So we had to step in and be like, come on, lads, like this isn't it now. This is just like pretty disrespectful. So there was a bit of a thing. And anyway, so it all went on.
You murdered them and then put them in suitcases and...
Well, if only we had, because it would have been less awkward when we then went upstairs to the kind of digs that we were staying in, the room upstairs, where they were also staying in the next room. Downstairs was amazing. It was the whole community, but where we stayed upstairs, it was basically a room with 20 mattresses. And it was great. It was super comfortable.
And there's the wall in the middle. But yeah, each room kind of had 20, 30 mattresses just on the floor and piled up in the corner.
One thing we didn't realize is, so when you walked into the bathroom with the light on, there was basically a huge hole in the floor, right where you would stand to kind of have a piss. There was a huge hole. So you had to stand across the joists. And it was like a 4-floor drop down. It was super dangerous. And it's the middle of the night, and all of a sudden we just hear this scream. And we're like, what the fuck can this bang? And we went rushing, and we'd seen it. So Nate had got up in the middle of the night for a piss. It was dark. He'd just walked in, basically fallen through the hole, and had just managed to catch himself with his elbows to stop him falling kind of forced floor drop in the pitch black.
Must be so scary.
Fucking hell, it was insane. It was fucking
He could have died, couldn't he?
Oh yeah, it was nuts.
But it all makes a great story now.
It does, yeah. You can look back
because he survived.
I woke up with a stinking hangover and a banging headache as well, to you 2 inches away from my face in a fucking Bose Electra mic.
To be fair, that is very Phil circa 2013, I would say.
It went everywhere, that mask, yeah. So stupid. And then we got back then and we recorded a record and ended up getting Edward in on vocals.
Yeah, I remember because it hadn't worked out with Nate for whatever reason. And you'd recorded it ages before, and Tom had sent me one of the tracks, and I just kind of put some nonsense to it just to be like, hey, I can do this. Yeah. And then I went out and did some of my last Devil shows with Silosis, and then during that I managed to, I think it was a lot to do with the stress of everything that was happening. After doing some research afterwards, basically that gave me viral meningitis. Whatever happened with all the stress, it managed to lower whatever bollocks going on in my body, and ended up getting viral meningitis and shingles at the same time. And I was hospitalized for the viral meningitis, but because I had shingles, I was on a ward by myself. So I was just in a room by myself, which actually was kind of lonely and sad. So for a week, I was just there by myself. I didn't have a band anymore. I was feeling pretty low, and Tom was like, I just got a message from Tom saying, hey, yeah, if you want to do it, it's yours. So I came home, took a little while to get better. And then I think when I started writing the vocals, and I think I did, from having nothing to having a whole thing ready to record, I think it was all done in about 2 weeks or something crazy.
Yeah.
Just absolutely flew through it.
And that record is available for anyone that wants to listen to it. So it's All We Have. The record's called Balance and Meaning. I think if you're into melodic hardcore, but probably more, the second record was probably more towards the earlier Touche Amore sort of stuff, wasn't it? It was a bit more, it wasn't as moshy or whatever. It was a bit more kind of melodic guitar.
A bit more emotional.
Yeah. But I still think it holds up. I'm still super proud of that record.
I'm really super proud of it, especially that song, Balance and Meaning. That song is, I think, the whole thing's really good, but that song specifically is especially good. I genuinely
think that's my favourite vocal performance from you as well.
Thanks.
Balance and Meaning.
I mean, that song was literally
good.
It is about balance of being a musician and what your sort of self-worth is. So it's I was going through quite a lot at that point in that song. It's really cathartic. It was good.
Yeah. So it's great that it came across good. So yeah, please check that out, because
no one's heard it.
I'd not listened to it for a while, and then you mentioned that you'd listened to it, right? So I went and listened to it, and I was quite surprised by the plays that are on it.
Yeah, nice.
I mean, I guess it's been up there for 13 years or whatever now, sort of thing. But yeah.
Yeah, we went pretty much straight out and did a bunch of Euro shows. That was one of it was just super fun. No pressure on any of us for it to be successful. It was just, let's get out and and
it was really fun. Yeah,
mate Dean came and drove us, and Ryan couldn't make it, so we had to get our friend Lev to come and do it, which also had to basically do a Euro tour off the back of about 3 days work.
Yeah, he did. Yeah, he was. Yeah, I mean, we could have a whole podcast about Lev himself.
Lev, yeah. What a legend.
Yeah, exactly. And then we did a cool little UK run with a band that aren't together anymore, but a band called Canvas. So not the kind of super heavy Canvas from Leeds from the 90s. This was kind of post-hardcore Canvas. Members now have gone on to be in loads of other bands. So a bunch of them are in Out of Love. Yeah. They're in Out of Love, who are obviously doing really well. And the drummer, John, is now in Pine and Kirsty's Metal Hands. Played in Dead Hearts for a little bit.
They're all super cool, those guys.
So yeah, moving on to Copse. So how Copse started was that me and Craig, the other guitarist, worked together.
How did you get to know Craig? Did you know that he was into metal? Was he wearing some black metal t-shirt at the cafeteria or something?
Basically, yeah. So on like a dress down Friday or something, he was wearing a De Vega and a Freiheit t-shirt.
Nice.
Which, if you see someone like a Metallica or a bigger band t-shirt, you kind of expect it.
It's very fucking niche.
It's so on the nose for what I'm into. So I was like, okay.
You would have been the only person in the office who could read that as well.
Yeah, exactly. I think I'd probably known by that time because he looked very different to how he looks now. If you've seen Craig recently, long hair, big beard.
Yeah, what happened to him? He looked so clean cut.
He was so linked in terms of how he looked. He used to have his shirts on. He had his like clean shaven. He had his nice short haircut, his business haircut.
Did you know him before that? Did you? What was it a bit?
Yeah, we'd worked together and stuff like that. And we might have had the odd bit of conversation, maybe about music or whatever, and probably even potentially about metal, but without
going down the rabbit hole.
Yeah, maybe. And then I saw him, I was like, oh, and then that's when we obviously really started talking loads and bouncing bands off each other and stuff. And he mentioned, I think, that he played guitar, wrote a bit of music sort of thing, but basically he's like, it's never gone anywhere. It's only ever been on my hard drive. I've just got like 40 unfinished songs that are like bits and bobs that I never really know what to do with. Nothing really happened really. Like obviously we talked loads about music over the next kind of 6-12 months. And then lockdown happened and I started writing what became Mara. So I was like, oh, I'll send it to Craig, see what he thinks. And he was like, oh, I've been writing some stuff too. What do you think of this? And fired back what ended up becoming Mondrum. So we just built it from there, sending it back into purely remotely, got them to a place which was pretty much what ended up being the songs.
It's so mad that they did work together so well.
Yeah, they don't sound like
two
songs written by two completely different people who didn't know each other.
And it's not like I sent it and he followed up with, oh, I'll try and write something. I sent it as in an hour later, he was like, oh, I've been writing something too, if you want to hear it. And they were so alike to the point where the chord that Mara finished with is the same chord or the same key that opens Mondrum. So that's why they flow into each other on the record. It was insane, really.
How far down the line were those two songs at that point? Were they kind of fairly skeletal or were they like pretty fleshed out?
Pretty fleshed out. So I think it was pretty much everything, at least on Mara, bar vocals. Obviously, it was with programmed drums.
Yeah,
The structure was very similar in terms of the pacing.
Well, you hadn't even planned for it to have vocals on, had you? This was like just this wasn't even supposed to be a band. It was just like a recording project.
Yeah. And we were like, oh, we'll get it to this point. We'll keep it instrumental, leave programmed drums on it. Nowadays you can demo to a pretty high quality. We're like, we'll just put it on Bandcamp and see if anyone's into it. I sent it to you and was like, oh, me and this guy from work are doing something, Ed. And you were like, I
remember we were chatting about it. We were walking the dogs. We were talking about it. I was like, look, send it to me. I would like to have a listen. And also if you want some screams, I can do some pretty horrible screams if you want them.
We decided we were going to record it properly. We were like, oh, if we're going to do it, we'll record with Johnny, at least the guitars, and maybe he can mix the drums. And then it just became, look, if we're going to go in and record it, we may as well.
Do it all. Yeah.
Let's just do it. So we went to the only drummer we knew, Ryan.
And that's the only reason I'm here.
Yeah. And sent him it. And I think initially he was like, fucking hell.
That's still your reaction every time.
Yeah, just hearing the demos, I didn't even know if I could play that.
Yeah, we all know what Phil and Craig's programmed drums are like. So
yeah, we all know exactly what reaction is coming before it's even heard it.
Horrific.
Yeah.
Yeah, I hadn't even played drums for 2 or 3 years probably at that point. I mean, the last band I was in before this was the Vestals from Newport, which is a completely different world to this. And I don't think I've ever played blast beats. So yeah, learning them on a whim just to send you a little kind of electric drum kit track back. I didn't think that you had the sound. I think it was literally just the clicking of the drums as well.
Yeah, it was enough. You
were both into it.
I saw what the programmed drums sounded like anyway.
Yeah, basically.
Yeah, true.
Sounds like drum kit falling down the stairs, doesn't it?
Yeah.
I like the challenge, just being out of my comfort zone and actually learning something different and having a reason, I guess, to kind of get on a practice pad and get back behind the kit.
I mean, you did a really good job of it because, like I say, we sent, other than obviously you made much more sense of fills and made stuff that was actually playable. But in terms of where we put blasts and where we put feet and stuff like that, even to the point where there's that section at the end of Morrow where the doubles go on for about 2.5 minutes or something, like you dug in and you kind of got it done. So you kind of more than...
Yeah, I hate it.
Yeah, you won't hear the end of it. He'll do exactly what you asked him to do, but you won't hear the end of it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, he'll moan about it constantly, but he'll still do it. He's a good egg deep down.
That's me, isn't it?
Yeah. And then, obviously, we were looking for a bassist. So Craig was like, I know a guy.
I know a little whippersnapper.
Yeah, so I've known Craig since I was probably about 13, and he was probably about 20, and he would just like
That sounds so bad.
Yeah.
well, no, probably like
Grooming
14,
you for bass.
15, it was probably yeah. But basically, like, it would parties. Yeah, he'd just force me to drink loads of Jack Daniels and stuff like
Again,
that.
doesn't sound good.
But yeah, I've known him a long time, and he's always said, like, gonna get a band. We're gonna get a band. I just sort of brushed it off because he's never been in a band. But yeah, I answered the call. Normally, like, he sent me stuff before. We've had like jams before and stuff, and nothing's ever really happened. But it's like, got the email. It's like, oh, I've actually got like, there are actually 5 people involved, and everybody's keen. Then on the email, I spotted Ed Gibbs in the thing, and I was like, oh, okay, all right.
No, this
is a serious thing. Yeah, I know that name. So
You're starstruck.
yeah, I was starstruck. Absolutely. Yeah, I just thought, oh no, this is actually going to be really cool. So
Yeah, and it all worked out all right.
whipped up some bass on those tracks, sent it over. Everybody didn't hate it. I do.
That's the bar that needs to be met.
That's all you can
That's the only bar
ask
that needs
for,
to be
isn't
met.
it? Everybody
Yeah.
didn't hate it.
Doesn't get much better than that. But yeah, we went in with Johnny, put Moromondrum out, and it all turned out great. Put that ourselves on a little tape and digitally. Managed to fall into the ears of Sammy and Justine at church, who were the fucking soundest people ever.
Yeah,
Yeah, that was great.
genuinely so cool.
Luckily, they were really into what we were doing and were interested in what we were going to do next. We'd already demoed All Believe New Despair, sent them it, and they were like, we want to put it out, which we were stoked about. Like, when we started this band, we were just like...
We had 2 things, didn't we? There's 2 things we wanted to do. We wanted to play Arctangent, and we wanted to put out a release through church. We've done it.
Yeah,
We've
yeah.
completed it.
Right off the back of that initial call with them, they said that they were basically pitching some of their bands to James for Arctangent and that they would put us on the list. And we were like, oh, that'd be cool. But obviously, it's not going to happen. We've played, at this point, 1 show. And then, yeah, 3 days later, we got an email from James, like, do you want to play? Opening up the 3rd stage. And we were like,
So sick.
fuck, yeah, we do.
Literally bit his hands off.
Sammy and Justine have been amazingly supportive since. Anything that we've wanted to do or put to them, they've been nothing but supportive.
I can't think of better people to be working with.
Yeah, nicest people.
Sounded both incredible.
Obviously, great musicians. Employed to Serve are amazing. Sammy's the one's like Renounced. He does that super fun side project, Smo now, which is, if you love Biohazard and stuff like that, it's great. It's just a really cool, like, rap hardcore. And then obviously their label, Church Road, it's just the sickest label. They do an amazing subscription model that you can sign up to, and you will just get all of their releases through your door. They're so consistent. You're not going to get anything shit coming through your letterbox. Like, you're going to be into it. So continue to support those guys. So
Yeah, they've got a lovely little Discord as well, which is worth checking out.
join the Discord. It's fun. There's people from obviously the bands on there, a few like press people, just general fans. It's like a real cool vibe on there.
Nice little community.
So yeah, worth checking out. Continue to support church. Continue to support Sammy and Justine so they can keep putting out sick music for everybody.
Big time.
Yeah, I think that's the end of the music chat. So should we dive into some chippy business?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So we're going to go through individually and go through your chippy orders. So let's start with Bobby. Where's your local chippy?
Whitstone's Fish and Chips in Shepton Mallet.
Whitstone's Fish and Chips.
Yeah, used to be called Winsborough's. So in my head, it will always be Winnie's.
When did it change?
Probably longer than 5 years ago. I don't know.
Okay.
Yeah.
Was it just a name change or was it a full ownership change?
No, just name change. Same people.
Okay. Any reason behind that?
Well, it's on Whitstone Road, so it's...
I think it was always on Whitstone Road.
No. Yeah, I don't know. You're asking the wrong guy.
Sounds to me like some sort of
Money
dodgy
laundering.
it's financial thing, yeah. Where they're just kind of like, yeah, we'll insolve
It's not
that
that kind of
company and
place.
bring the...
It's chipped in a box.
All right, so they take card.
Yeah, it does sound like that sort of... actually, yeah, maybe not.
If they take
Too-
card,
too
then they're
fancy,
probably not
yeah.
doing it, yeah. Is it a long-standing institution? Been there as long as you know?
I reckon it's been there 20 years.
All right, pretty decent then. Has it got any interesting redeeming features, the chippy? It's got like a fruity in it or anything like that?
No, it's got a pretty decent restaurant attached to it, so you can have a proper sit down chippy tea, which is
da.
really nice because
Yeah.
it's right opposite pub, so sometimes you can just make an evening of it.
Well, do they let you take your chips to the pub or pints to the chippy?
Yeah, they do. No, can't take your pints to a chippy, but they do sell pints in there.
All right. In the chippy?
Well, in the restaurant.
All right, okay.
But you can take your chips in the pub and eat them in the garden. But you couldn't before because the pub used to have a classic kebab van out in the car park. So that was frowned upon back then.
Strict policy.
Yeah. But now it's all good.
That sounds great. Rye, what's your chippy?
I found this really difficult. There's so many good chippies around here. So I'm going to give 2 honourable mentions to Pie Corner Fish Bar and Alonzi's on Collier Road. But I'm going to go with Shepherd's in Mace Glass. It's incredible. And it's a fish and chips in a box kind of place.
See, to me, fish and chips in a box is always like...
Kind of upmarket, that, isn't it?
I'd see it as the posher chippy rather than like a big bag sort of thing. You are restricting the amount of food you're giving to people. You're giving yourself like a finite thing to put them in. But if they're big boxes, I guess.
Massive portions.
They can't shortchange you though, can they?
You say that,
You can go up and down with a bag.
but you can with it, but you don't have to fill the box.
True.
What I always liked about the bag was the moment when you open the bag and you like the vinegar just hits you.
Oh,
You don't get out of the box. It's just caged in there and just you start coughing. Yeah.
The act of wrapping chips in a bag helps like mix the salt and vinegar in a lot more as well. Whereas in a box, they scoop it in, they put it on top. You know, you're left with maybe some dry chips at the bottom, some raw dogged potatoes.
There will be raw dog and potatoes
underneath the top. Well, you say that, but Josh from Grove Street chose not to have salt and vinegar on his chips. He raw dogged them.
No sauce.
He had some sauce.
Oh, he's not raw dogging.
Well, he is really in terms of chippy terms, as far as I'm
If you've
concerned.
got sauce, you're not raw dogging.
It's not like he was totally dry, but yeah, no salt and vinegar, no seasoning. I was aghast, let's say. Ed, what's your local chippy?
There's just one down the road called Yatton Fish Bar.
So for people that aren't really sure, Ed's not a huge tippy tea man.
Oh, I'm not going. No,
I'm sure I'm sure we could get to that. Ed had a chippy tea probably for the first time since I've known him a couple of weeks back, and he described it as absolutely fine.
It's absolutely fine. Yeah, it's totally fine.
And I don't think that was a review of your chippy. I think that was just a review of chippies in general, isn't it? It was chippy tea.
I think so, yeah. I mean, I am willing to concede that maybe I've never had a good chippy, but I've definitely never had a good chippy.
It's not too late to get a new vocalist, is it?
Oh, that's fine by me.
Davey D did a pretty good job on tour.
Yeah, he's great.
He loves chips.
Upgrade, if anything.
Yeah, and he's from Accrington. He loves chips. Yeah, he proved that. He's been on here. He told us all his secrets. But no, I mean, I appreciate you dipping your toe into the chippy waters.
I mean, I guess also I don't like fish. Really, really hate fish. Don't really care about the other sides. Not sides, like, the protein.
Yeah.
And whenever I've had chips, it's just been a bit of a soggy mush, really.
You're a big fries guy, aren't you?
Yeah, I like fries. I mean, don't get me wrong. If I was having chips, I would put a shitload of salt and vinegar on it. Great.
Yeah.
Great stuff. But I'd rather have better potatoes. I love potatoes.
I'll have to check that chippy out.
Okay, yeah, you can give me a review and tell me whether it was okay or not.
Whether it is a good chippy or not, because it might be a bad chippy, yeah. So I've driven past it a bunch and seen it, and I've always been intrigued to try it.
I mean,
so
I can tell you, I can pinpoint exactly the point where I went, I'm never having.
Go on.
We were playing in Southampton, wasn't Joiners, I think it was Talking Heads, and we as a band went to get food, and there was nothing around, there was just a chippy. We got, for some reason, they put all of the portions of chips into one thing, so there's 6 people's worth of... Okay, and it was awful, right? It was so bad.
I mean, it was a lot of chips, but I still love a chippy tea.
But anyway, it was so shit that I was like, I was never particularly fussed about it anyway, but that was, I'm done.
Was that before you played?
Yeah, it might have been.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't think I ate
was.
many of them, so it wasn't too bad.
Well, there you go.
It
then.
wasn't the reaction to it that, it wasn't the gig that made me go, no more chips. It was the chips that made me go,
But
no more chips.
eating a chippy tea before playing a show, you're going to have bad connotations on you with your chippy tea.
If I remember correctly, though, it was about 40 minutes before you played as well.
Oh, that's danger zone.
Absolutely the danger zone.
There is that weird thing. I mean, I reckon I could do it just because I kind of have a
You're
bit of an this one's fucking pig, yeah. But no, I appreciate, like, I wouldn't feel great afterwards. Like, if the opportunity arose, I wouldn't turn it down just because I was playing in like half an hour. I'd still be
the sweet spot is that most chippies will be available after you've played.
I mean, if you're playing early like we usually do, yeah. If you're headlining,
Usually.
most normal chippies aren't open late. You're into kind of like kebab shops that do chips then, which...
Yeah, and those chips are much better than chippy chips.
What?
Fucking hell.
Jesus.
It was never a good idea getting you
It's a
on.
disaster.
It's always nice to have contrasting opinions. You know, this is a democracy.
I mean, it's certainly a discussion point. It's not a very good one, but it's a discussion point.
It is, yeah. So that's the local chippies. Let's go back around. So Bobby, hit up what's your let's just hit your order in one go. What's your normal order when you go?
Is it just me, or is it like me and my partner?
Let's hit us up with both.
It's basically the same order, except, you know, if it's the two of us, it'll be large cod, large chips, jumbo battered sausage. If it's just me, it's just cod chips, small battered sausage.
When you're sharing a jumbo battered sausage, do you eat it like Lady in the Tramp?
Oh, please, yeah.
Yeah, obviously. How do you eat it?
So you would get one large cod, one large chips, one large battered sausage, and you would split the lot down the middle.
Yeah, pretty much. But I'm getting the bigger half, obviously.
Right. So 2/3 ratio we're talking?
Yeah,
2 to
probably
1.
about that. Probably about that.
That's not too bad then.
Large cod is sometimes they don't have it, so they just put 2 normal cods in.
Oh, I'm into that, which is probably bigger than a large cod.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
It's impossible to finish a large cod and chips.
Oh, that sounds like a challenge. Jesus.
Well,
Even I see that as a challenge.
yeah, but
I
I'm
don't
just
want
saying,
them,
like,
but that
it's
does
enough.
make me want to eat them.
It's definitely enough.
You do finish them though, don't you?
I mean,
Oh,
like there'll be like some left at the end, but like there'll be like the really crispy ones I'm not that into.
You don't eat them later on. You don't leave them on the side and eat them when you go for a beer later or anything.
Yeah, but it gets to a point, don't it, where it's like, oh, like you go back and you have a few, like, oh yeah, see, nice. Go back and have a few more, and you're like, oh god, that was a bad idea.
Yeah.
Don't even chuck them away.
Do you get any moisture?
Like a curry sauce, but I like mayo with my chips.
Okay. Like a Belgian.
Yeah, like a Belgian. But obviously, the curry sauce and the mayo absolutely would not touch. Absolutely not.
Yeah, no.
I can imagine that wouldn't actually make a bad. I know
mean,
that's what
curry
sort of
mayo,
coronation
like-
chicken is.
Yeah, like curry ketchup. I mean, I'm sure it'd be nice, but
Nah, it just
It'd be
weirds
okay.
me out a bit.
yeah.
Mushy peas.
Happy days. Do you get them? Do you pick and choose? Do you always get them? Or is it like sometimes you will, sometimes you won't?
Yeah, like if it's just me, I'm probably not going to get curry sauce and the mushy peas as well. Do you know what I mean? But
Yeah.
there's 2 of us, you know, getting that.
If it were just you, what would you be getting sauce-wise then?
I'd probably just go for the mayo.
Just have the mayo.
So you wouldn't have the peas or the curry sauce.
Maybe the curry sauce. Depends on what I'm feeling. But if it's for both of us, yeah, we're getting them.
Do you get a bread roll or anything?
No, just because it's enough food. But I am into it. I do think a chip butty is top tier.
It's a nice dessert. Like you get a big portion of chips. Open up your chips first hand. Obviously, first thing you do before you do anything is you have a few, don't you?
Yep.
And then you chuck a bunch on the back, stick it to one side, let all the butter and everything melt. Just let them stay there. You eat your fish and chips, and then you go back and have your chip butty at the end.
You're a psycho.
Oh, it's a lovely palate cleanser before whatever you have. For your
Before
pudding
what?
afterwards. For your pudding. I don't know. Like your actual pudding, not your savoury pudding.
It's like sort of the lemon hand dip, but for your mouth.
That's the conversation you haven't had on here yet as well, is what do you call a chip roll? Like Rob, I'd call it chip buddy.
Yeah, chip butty.
I would flick between butty and balm, probably.
I've actually never heard you say bum.
So he never says it then.
I think it depends. I think if I'm up north and surrounded by northerners, I probably default to it a bit more. But I think if it was one of those, like, say the first thing that comes into your head type things or whatever, not that, I mean, it probably would be the first thing that came into my head. But if I had to pick
Every
the one,
morning, the first thing in your head.
yeah, on me, honestly, editing this, talking about this all the time, like it's constantly on the brain. It's fucking hard.
I mean, that's why I went back to try out the chip shop. Was just I was driving home and listening to this. It's like, for fuck's sake, I've got to give it another go.
Honestly, it's punishing. But
Yeah.
I probably would default to butty. What would you call it, Ed?
Roll.
Chip roll.
Yeah, I'm a southerner.
That'd be different, didn't you?
Right, what's your order?
Cod and chips for me. And if I don't go cod and chips, I'm going double fish cake.
Yeah, sometimes I'll get 2 fish cakes in lieu of a cod. I quite like it. So a slightly different flavour. And quite often, especially if you're quick and they're ready in the counter, it's a quick in and out, isn't it, sometimes?
Have you ever tried throwing a fish cake like a ninja star?
Doesn't work.
Okay.
I guess it wouldn't stick into whatever you're throwing
So
out.
are
again,
you
would it?
inferring that you have tried that?
You'd just know, wouldn't you? It wouldn't work. That
Okay.
would just like fall apart in the air.
Yeah, it would be a serious test of the integrity of the fish cake.
Depends how long it's
It
been there.
definitely would be, yeah.
Even if it survives the flight, yeah, it's not going to survive the
The
contact.
impact.
Yeah. So you get either cod and chips or 2 fish cakes.
Definitely.
And I forgot to ask you this, Bobby, but I assume we'll get Bobby quickly. Salt and vinegar on yours?
Hell yeah.
Hell yeah. Right.
All
You
of
have a
it.
salt and vinegar?
Absolutely tons of both.
Tons of both. Are you getting any moisture with yours?
Yeah, same as Rob. I'd go curry sauce probably, if not curry sauce. Shepherd's do an amazing 5-spice,
All right. Okay.
so I'd go with that. Or gravy.
Yeah.
Good with the gravy as well.
Do either of your chippies offer you like different curries? Or is it just one? They just have curry sauce on the menu?
Shepherd's just the one. Alonzi, they've got a couple.
Yeah.
But Shepherd's Shepherd's my choice, so I'll stick with that one. That's just the one.
Yeah. How about yours, Bobby? Just the one? Just curry sauce?
Yeah, just the one, I think.
Like I say, the one near my wife's mum and dad's like has like 3. It's like,
What's the difference?
I'm not 100% sure. So there's basically like, I think the one's maybe a bit fruitier. And then they have like a kind of, the typical kind of chippy curry, which is more like a kind of Chinese curry.
Yeah, it's sort of got like little lumps in it.
Some of them do, some of them don't, but it's generally quite katsu-y. And then I'm sure the other one, I'm pretty sure they describe it as like an Irish curry, and I'm not sure what it is, and I might need to try it next time. I
You know
imagine
what
they're
I think?
all variation on a theme.
Like what I think chips or curry sauce tastes like. Tastes exactly like a curry pot noodle.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's,
Just that without the noodles in it.
it's that kind of very typical sort of flavour for sure. So when you went to the Chippy Head that one time, what was your order?
Oh, I just had chips because I like I say, I can't eat fish, so it's just have the chips. And then curry sauce, salt and vinegar.
Oh, so you had some.
Because those are that's flavour country.
You had some curry sauce.
Oh yeah, big time. Of course.
Did you pour it all over, or were you a dipper?
I'm not a pour over, I'm a dipper. I like to, be in charge of my sauce to potato ratios. I'm not.
Pick and choose. Yeah.
If you pour all over, you're just going to end up with like nothing at the bottom.
I'm with you on that. So I just realized, like, in kind of 20 episodes, I haven't overly divulged my order yet. So weirdly,
I'm in prison for this.
there's been a lot of chat, yeah, sort of thing. But I'm the same as you for that sort of thing. With dipping, I'm not a pourer.
Yeah, I like gravy as well. Gravy's good. It's just, good salty liquid, good stuff.
Salty liquid.
Cheese.
Can't get that in a lot of chippies.
We're just not asking the right questions.
Yeah, maybe not yet.
Is this why you don't like them?
No, I'd like if that happened more often, might be in there more often.
Is this what Southampton was all about? Is this why you don't like it?
We don't talk about Southampton.
I mean, Southampton is famous for obviously having a lot of seamen. Right. How often do you reckon you'd get a chippy?
Nowhere near as often as I would like. We used to work opposite in the old office, opposite Shepherd's. So I would get one once a week at that point. But my partner, my wife, doesn't tend to enjoy it as much as I do. And if we do get it, she'll end up getting chips, beans, and meats.
Sorry, what?
Chips, beans, cheese.
I do.
Ed's absolutely,
Livid.
yeah. Just
What's wrong with chips, beans, and cheese?
it's like someone stomped on his heart.
Don't even like the chippy, and that's made me really sad.
I
it
mean,
the
I'm
beans?
not a beans guy, so
No.
So I love beans as well.
Okay. I'll tell you what I did have the other day. We did get Chinese, and I got the salt and chili chips. The chips themselves were fucking bollocks.
yeah.
But the flavour country was just, mwah, lovely.
Salt and pepper chips, salt and chili chips, whatever. Like
Yeah.
they take some beating. So obviously, I was at Outbreak a couple of weekends ago, last weekend, and they had like a bunch of food vans there. I only really got a chance to try one, but I think it was the most popular one all weekend. It was basically a van that was doing salt and chili stuff.
Amazing.
So it was all vegan, but they were doing, I think it was like 20 quid, but it was like a pizza box, and you open it up and it was full of like,
I
it
saw
was like a
pictures of
munch
that.
box. Yeah, so it was like salt and chili chips. They had like spring rolls, like samosas, like all that sort of stuff, just in like this big box.
Yeah, it looked really good.
Yeah, I don't think you can go too far wrong with salt and chili stuff. How about you, Bobby? How often will you hit up a chippy?
Probably like once a month, maybe, like minimum. So
Yeah,
probably like every like 3 weeks, maybe if I'm lucky.
You set your own destiny, mate. Don't need to be lucky.
Yeah, but it's like it's one of those things where Sammy's out, chippy tea on the way home.
I'll feed the dog like 5 o'clock. I'll work. Obviously, I'll feed the dog and I'll take him out for a walk. And as you're coming home, it's like, you know, like 6, kind of 6, 6:15, and you're walking past the chippy and you're like,
No, I shouldn't.
like just the smell of it, like I'm like floating like a cartoon character towards it.
Your toes like dragging along the floor.
Yeah, like kind of Fred Flintstone bowling. Cans of pop. Bobby, did you get a can of pop?
Yeah. I'm having a Rio.
You're having a Rio for the chippy?
Yeah, it's got to be a Rio.
Even if you're eating in and you can get a pint, would you still get a Rio?
If I'm eating in, I'll probably get the Budweiser they've got on tap.
Budweiser. Do they do Guinness?
No, I think it's literally, there's a cider, there's Budweiser, or there's like a Worthington's.
Ooh.
So yeah, I'll go for the lager.
Is the cider a good old can of Natch?
No, I think it's a Mallet, because they're Shepton Mallet, aren't they?
Yeah. Is that the guy who you got 100 litres off for Out Tangent that year?
No, that was Roger Wilkins. Proper cider. This is like made in a big factory in Shepton cider.
Ah, okay.
Not a pit in the ground.
Just to clarify this, Bobby was telling us a story about how he got 100 litres of this Wilkins cider, and we thought he was over-egging it until he sent us the picture of literally 25 4-litre flagons in the back of his boot of his car. And he was telling us this from this farm called Wilkins, and he sent us a picture of the geezer that runs it, and he just has this like stone outbuilding on his farm, and the cider's obviously so potent over the years that as it's kind of dripped out of the barrel, it's literally etched through the stone.
Yeah, phenomenal.
I bet that guy's got a very ruddy nose.
Yeah, legend.
Didn't you also introduce Lars Ulrich to Wilkins cider at Glastonbury?
Yes. He wasn't keen to drink it because he just woke up, but there is photo evidence of him with said flagon of cider.
Beautiful. What more advertisement do you need? Rye? Can?
Probably Dr. Pepper, depending on which chippy I go to. But yeah, Dr. Pepper, San Pellegrino, or Dandelion and Burdock.
San Pel, very fancy. Tory Fanta.
Nice, isn't it? It's just good.
Yeah, I mean, it is great, to be fair.
But did you say what San Pellegrino are you getting?
No, he didn't.
Lemon. It's the best one.
I know you're a big pop guy, Ed. You like a fancy drink. Did you get pop when you went to the chippy?
No, because I'd have had stuff at home. I've got gear at home.
You've always got, you've literally always got a fridge full of Pepsi Max.
Yeah.
Would that be your go-to? Like if we were going to get a chippy now, would you get a Pepsi Max with it?
I mean, the options are vast, aren't they?
I mean, it depends what chippy you go to. Sometimes they are.
Not being a chippy goer, can you give me some options?
I mean,
just a standard fridge, surely.
A lot of the time they have the standards, you know, your Cokes, your Fantas, your Sprites, your Dr. Peppers. A lot of them have a Rio. Sometimes you'll get some that do some of the older school ones, like a Dandelion and Burdock or a cream soda or a ginger beer maybe. And then, I mean, you're into wilder territory then. It could be, it could be anything after that.
It's either going to be a Pepsi Max Cherry or it's going to be a Vimto.
Vimto, of course, yeah. I'm literally going to go outside and shoot myself in the head for not even listing it because I should have been top of the list.
Take yourself out to pasture.
Yeah. Just retire myself from this game.
I will say though, Vimto squash I think is better than canned Vimto.
I would agree because you can control the strength. Yeah.
Well, you don't have to put any water in.
Yeah. I just think it works better still than it does fizzy.
I don't mind the fizzy, and I certainly don't hate it. And
I'm not saying I hate it.
Yeah,
don't think that I'm saying I hate it.
I would still choose it over a lot of other fizzy drinks. But yeah, if I had a choice between fizzy or the squash, I'd go raw every time.
Yeah, you'd have a good inch to 2 of Vimto with a bit of water in it.
Oh yeah, it's like 50-50 ratio generally. Like if
you could drink it straight and it would still be very nice.
It's one ice cube, like a nice whiskey.
Ooh,
that's a good
nice,
idea.
Yeah. Get myself one of those ones where you can like make it into like a ball, like an ice cube ball.
I can imagine it's just a straight up pure Vimto ice lolly, Vimto squash ice lolly. That'd be lovely.
Ooh, I might have to make some of them. Rye, do you order some while you're waiting?
I do. If I'm getting cod and chips, I get a fish cake as an appetizer before the trip home.
Nice. Yep, perfect.
Otherwise, I'll go with a pineapple fritter.
A pineapple fritter. Never been a big fan myself, but they are a classic chippy staple. So would you eat it literally just in the chippy, just give it me now, or will you like eat it in the
straight
car
away.
or on the walk home? Yeah.
No, straight away.
What about you, Bobby?
So generally not if I'm actually ordering a meal. But like I said, it is opposite the pub. So sometimes if I'm walking home, I will just dip in, get myself a bad sausage for a walk.
Nice. That's class. That's classic.
Just a little snack to get me home.
I like that. What time's it open till?
10, I think.
So you could have a decent session in the pub and still have time for a snack.
Yeah, if you time it right.
I'm guessing you didn't order anything to eat whilst you were waiting for your chips, Ed.
No, that sounds like psychotic behaviour to me.
Right, that's the chippy chat done with. Now let's go to the point where we can tell you exactly what we've got coming up in the world of Copse over the next few months. So let's dive into...
Really disappointed that Ed didn't do that live.
Probably should have done, really. Bobby, why don't you tell us what we got coming up?
So we have got a vinyl coming out in August.
The CD.
And that is going to have both EPs on each side. So there's a little Discogs release, and it's on a very nice pink. On pink. Cool splatter vinyl. It's very sick, so very excited about that. Yeah, buzzing about it.
Sammy just posted like last week as well that obviously they were listening to the test presses and was saying that it sounds sick. So that's just got me even more excited.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
very
funny.
excited.
It's funny when it like it physically exists. Maybe not the actual the pressing hasn't been done yet, but the fact that there's a test pressing of it and it's like it exists on a bit of vinyl. That's quite fun, isn't it?
Yeah, it's like part of me, obviously, I'd absolutely love to hear it. And I can't wait to hear it. But then I'm also quite enjoying the anticipation of having to wait a little bit longer for it as well. It's amazing that Sammy and Justine have given us the opportunity to do that. And, it was them that actually come to us and suggested, hey, how about we do this? So,
Yeah, and that's going to be on the vinyl subscription for Church Road as well, isn't it? So
yeah.
if you're signed up to that, you'll get it.
Do you know when it's going to be?
30th of August, it's out.
Okay, that's coming soon.
Yeah, so not far off. So yeah, as Bobby said, if you're a subscriber for Church, so either digital, CD or vinyl, you will get your equivalent copy. So, don't double up and buy it again. I mean, you can do if you want to.
I reckon.
I'm not going to complain. Yeah, buy as many copies as you want. UK, and I think Euro distribution is either through ours or Church Road's Bandcamp or the Church Road official store. And then if you're buying from the States, and this is super exciting, we're buzzing about this more than anything, you can buy it through Death Wish.
Yeah, so cool.
And seeing us on the Death Wish site was pretty exciting as well.
Although, if there's anyone from the States listening to a Fish and Chips chat, it's absolutely wild.
I mean, yeah, I guess we did have one US guest, so we might have dragged a listener in for that one episode.
Yeah.
I got some friends here that I reckon will probably be listening to this episode.
Big up Chaz.
Good old Chaz.
Rye, do you want to tell us about some shows we've got coming up?
We are playing Crowded Festival, 21st September, with El Muno, Bilecaster and Wren, with more to be announced. Tickets are on sale for that now. And we are playing The Griffin, Bristol, 5th of October, for our first headline show. And we've sold over 50% of the tickets so far, so grab them while you can.
That's going to be a cool show. Looking forward to that. We got a couple of other Bristol bands, Row of Ashes, who are kind of like a sick, kind of sludgy noise band, and The Earth and Me as well, who are kind of like a post-rock band. Crowded Festival is in Leicester, which I don't think we mentioned.
Is it the Firebug?
Firebug and Duffy's.
Yeah, tickets on sale for both of those shows. Ed, do you want to tell people what we're doing at the end of the month?
Yes, in a few weeks we are jumping in the studio to record a single. I can't remember what that's in aid of, other than just putting some music out. I think we were originally doing it to coincide with the vinyl release, were we?
Yeah, originally we were going to try and get it out with the vinyl, and I guess it still kind of is alongside that. It's just going to come out a little bit later.
Yeah, I mean, new music coming basically. We'll be getting that recorded in the coming weeks, and then we're also sort of neck deep in album territory, aren't we? In terms of writing that stuff.
We are, yeah.
The man that should not be named is an absolute monster, and just keeps throwing audio at us.
That's why he's not here. We've got him chained to a radiator, just writing riffs. Just sat in his room, knocking out songs between 9 and 15 minutes of length. If anything, he needs reining in.
Yeah, he does.
I mean, it will be out next year. I guess we can say that, can't
Yeah, I
we?
think that's fair to say.
Yeah, it will be out probably back end of the summer next year. So you can pencil that into your diaries. But that's really exciting. It's sounding pretty great.
Horrible.
Yeah, it's gross. It's really gross.
Yeah, it's a little bit different, I guess. Maybe not as hopeful as some of the other stuff's been described as. So really sorry if that was a part of us that you really liked. One more thing that's worth mentioning, I guess, is obviously recording music and all these things we do costs money. So if anyone wants to, as well as buying the records and pre-ordering stuff, we do still have a couple of t-shirts left over on our Bandcamp as well. So there's a few limited sizes of those left. And obviously all that goes straight back into band stuff, helps us record and practice and all that good stuff. So yeah, that's just copsebm.bandcamp.com. And I think that's everything we've got to push. So I think we'll call it there, lads.
Yeah.
Yeah.
This stuff.
Thank you for coming on. And
Thank you for having us.
Thanks, Phil.
again, thank you for your assistance in putting this pod together and its various moving parts. Take care, and I'll obviously see you all like in 2 weeks.
Great to speak to you in 5 minutes.
I'll see you soon.
Love you. Bye.
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 That was Bobby, Rye and Ed from Copse. Bobby took us to Witchstone's Fish and Chips in Shepton Mallet. He got a regular cod and chips and a small battered sausage with all the salt and vinegar. He got curry sauce and mayo, but they absolutely won't touch. He washed it down with either a can of Rio or a pint of lager. Rye took us to Shepherd's in Maysglass. He got either a cod or double fish cake and chips, tons of salt and vinegar and curry sauce. For starters, he'll either have a fish cake if he's going with the cod, or if not, a pineapple fritter. He washed it down with a can of Dr. Pepper or a lemon San Pellegrino. Ed took us to Yatton Fish Bar. He had chips with no main sides, but he did have salt and vinegar and curry sauce. He'll wash it down with either a Pepsi Max Cherry or a classic can of Vimto. As always, I want to see your chippy teas too, so don't forget to tag us in any pics or let us know your favourite local chippy on socials using @RiffandChips. That's it for Series 1. Thank you so much to all the guests this series, and of course a huge thanks to everyone that's listened, especially those of you that have shared your local chippies and orders with me over the last few months. I'll see you later in the year for Series 2. Take care.